Y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to wrap up my February reading month. So, I don't really know how many books I read this month. Let me check. So I actually read 12 books and DNF'd one. This month is going to work a little bit different because I'm going to splice in some video clips of me reading or giving you my initial thoughts of some of these books. And there's one book that I did read. I ultimately DNF'd it, but I also joined the author event in support of it. So I wanted to put in that clip just to give a little bit of variety. This is something new I will be trying with my wrap-ups, starting with my first book, that's Somebody's Forever by Robbie Renee. So let's just go ahead and run into that clip. It's 1 a.m. If I look crazy, it's because Robbie Renee is bringing me through it. And Somebody's Forever. This is a novella. It should not be slapping like this. It should not have me going through all of the emotions, the angst, the turmoil. At first I thought it was just going to be romance, smuts, good times. But my book boyfriend of 2025, Dr. Ezekiel Green, I get it now. First and foremost, let me just say, I get it, girls. Y'all have been screaming about this man, and this book really lets me know I understand now. I get it. But what's getting me is that I didn't come here for the emotional angst. I love it, though. That's my bag. But I just want him to be happy. That's all, Robbie. Please. Now that should give you a little bit of a glimpse of how I felt about Robbie Renee's Somebody Forever. This for me was my first 5-star and the first book I read in February. So I said, oh girl, it's going to be a great month because this is the follow-up to Somebody's Wife, which I believe has to be Robbie Renee's most popular book. Now, this statement that I'm going to make is big. I actually loved Somebody's Forever better than Somebody's Wife. Not saying Somebody's Wife was a bad book because y'all know it wasn't. This just gave me everything that I needed and I was looking for. It gave me that emotional aspect, right? So Robbie put Dr. Ezekiel Green through it. He is dealing with not having Gemma and the way that he wants her, but still having really big feelings and emotions with her. And then having to find out that his mother has gotten ill and so he needs to go back to New York when really he wants to be in St. Louis trying to work things out with Gemma, and he wants to lean on her and he wants to continue to make this work so that she knows, hey, I'm not the rebound guy, I'm actually the somebody that's going to be your forever type of guy. But dealing with all of the things that happen when life starts to life, it's just depicted in this book. In addition, you get to see how Gemma is dealing with the fallout of the dissolution of her marriage, right? So you get to see how her daughter is reacting to it and what type of feelings that spurs, because they go into therapy together. And ultimately, Gemma does what every strong woman does. She was like, hey, put the blame on me. I don't want you to tarnish your relationship with your father, no matter how he did me and what the resolution of our marriage is. That's still your father. So she was a very big woman. And let me tell you, the ex-husband still was on one in this book. He still wanted to get hemmed up. And I said, okay, well, we can show you better than we can tell you. Emotionally, I was up at 1 a.m. Y'all saw the clip. Hair was in a banana clip. I'm downstairs, thumbing through the pages, physically experiencing all of the emotions with this one. 5-star, y'all know. Robbie Renee has a fan in me. Now, the next book I read for February was Losing Sight by Tati Richardson. Tati Richardson, this is the first time I've read from this pen name. I have read T.M. Richardson, which is her more adult indie books, but this is her traditional publishing book, and I really enjoyed this pen as well.
This is an older woman, older man romance where our characters are in their 40s. And I know I cringe saying that because I am not too far off from 40s. But, you know, most of the time when it comes to romance, everybody is in their 20s and living life carefree. No, these individuals have been through things. One is divorce. So Gideon is an optometrist. He has lost his wife. So he actually wasn't divorced. He lost his wife. She has passed away. And that was the love of his life. Like, he had to watch her go through, you know, treatments, and he had to see how she was, diminishing. And now he's lost that love of his life. And he hasn't really been back out in the dating scene until he runs across our female main character, Tanika. Now, Tanika is one of his cousin's best friends. And so he's like, when he sees her, he's like, I'm feeling things. Like, and I shouldn't be because my wife passed away 8 months ago. Like, I cannot hold these emotions. I'm gonna go. And her cousin was like, well, that's strange. Like, my cousin is a really good guy. Please don't take it as no disrespect. And at the time, Tanika was like, okay, cool, no worries. Like, your cousin's just a little bit strange. Until Tanika has to go to Gideon's practice because she actually gets pulled over for having an accident because she can't see. Now, Tanika is a sportscaster, and she has been fighting tooth and nail from having to show signs of aging, right? As you get older, and me, I've been in my glasses since I was in the 10th grade. So, like, these don't make me feel no way. Like, if I get the cute frames, I'm cute. But Tanika's like, I do not want to show signs of aging. I'm already in a male-dominated industry. I am a black woman. They are ready to put me out to pasture. Actually, I think they have my replacement already in the wings. She's slimmer. She's younger. She doesn't know shit about the sport, but they say that they want her to take my place. So this was kind of like an homage to when Pam Oliver was put out by Erin Andrews, right? And so, like, seeing how this was rooted in real life, I was like, okay, Tati, hats off to you for, like, bringing it to the forefront and really showing us how it happens in the real world. And I found it was very, very interesting because this had a lot of social commentary as well in terms of really how the machine of being in a journalism field. And we're seeing those effects today, right? Like the things, and I'm just going to call it out on my channel, the things that are happening with Joy Reid, the things that are happening in MSNBC. Again, signs of the time where there was a push for diversity and now it's like, let's get them off air. This book feels really, really relevant to today's time, and it just kind of resonated and hit home. But Tati Richardson was able to do, you know, so many beautiful things with this particular book. It talks about, you know, finding your allies, right? Her assistant, their relationship, and how, you know, Tanika would go, you know, and really have to put herself out there when it comes to being in this industry, right? She had to always have her checks and balances, but she had her people in the wing supporting her and trying to help and fight for her, and advocates, right? You never really know who your advocates are, but you also don't know sometimes who your adversary is. The person that says they have your back really and truly doesn't. So I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed their romance, right? So Gideon was, concerned about how he could be with Tanika. She is this famous sportscaster. Like, everybody knows her. She has been the most desirable woman for him in a very long time. And so he didn't feel adequate, being that she works around football players and she works around professional bull riders. And how could he ever be with a woman like that? And he often showed his vulnerability, and I love being able to see that from a man. Again, trust me, Gideon's not short stepping. The man is fit. He is fine. He has character. He likes to go out and check his fit. Like, he gets custom made shoes. He is a romantic. Like, the man, it takes his clients to go get ice cream, after having to deal with something traumatic like getting glasses and being able to change their vision. Like, I love Gideon, and I loved how he showed up and loved Tanika, right? Like, he was like, oh, you're that girl, let me constantly remind you. And this was just a cute romance. Moving on to the next traditional romance I read, this was an arc that I received from NetGalley, and this is going to be Sanithia Williams' Frenemies with Benefits. Now, I was very shocked. This is the third in the series, and I think it's like the Peachtree Cove. I was a little bit hesitant, like, okay, this is a beautiful cover. The vibes were right. Like, it sounds like something I would enjoy, but it's the third in the series. Can I jump in and not be interrupted? Like, and feel like I'm missing out on something? And I absolutely can. I will tell you, if you're considering picking up anything from this author, this is probably the one that I will tell you to start with, because you don't need additional background or context. So this is the romance of Tracy and Brian. These are also, again, I believe, older characters. Tracy has been married for about 15 or 17 years to her husband. Like, this is the man that she knows. And she comes to find out, and this should be no spoiler, but she comes to find out that her husband was cheating on her with her B&B clerk. Like, she owns a B&B, bed and breakfast, and he's been sleeping with the clerk. And I believe she's also pregnant. And I'm like, okay, we starting off with a bang. And then I was like, okay, well, this is enemies to lovers. Like, they try to work on their relationship. There is no enemies. Brian and Tracy have no beef. So please make sure when you're going into this, you know that there is no animosity between the two. Tracy is just upset that everything that goes wrong in her life, Brian is there to watch it. And he's able to see it. And she feels like he's judging her. That man is not judging you, Tracy. Like, this man, anytime he sees something going wrong in your life, he's either trying to help you with it. So when she's handling a wedding and shit is going awry, he's like, okay, well, let me step in, and how can I be of service to you? What do you need? I can help out. Like, you need me to bring some flowers because he is a florist? I got you. When he realizes that her ex-husband has been talking about her in the streets, he's like, hey, let me let you know what's going on, and I'm gonna step to this man. Like, the man is supporting her every way through. Like, Tracy also has a father who she has a tumultuous relationship. Actually, her father and her mother. And he was like, he's stepping in, and he's like, oh, you're not gonna talk to her crazy while I'm sitting here. Like, I know we not in a relationship, but you're going to respect this woman. Brian probably has always loved her. And this is where he's like, you don't really care for me, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to support you, that I'm not going to make sure that you are comfortable and cared for. And I don't need you to give me a consolation prize. I'm good just being whatever you need me to be. Now, I will tell you, this is the slowest burn. This is, I almost want to say fade to black, and you don't get any true intimacy until the end. And even that, I don't recall it. So if you are looking for something that is spicy, this is not it. But if you're looking for something that is impactful with emotion, that has drama, that has really that nurturing hurt comfort, this is the one for you. I am going to turn it over and show you an initial clip of me reading another arc, which is Kenya Bell's My Alien Baby Daddy. I am here to talk about my latest read. I am reading My Alien Dragon Baby Daddy by Kenya Bell. Now, I love it when an author steps out of their primary genre to try something new. And I love it even more when it's one of my favorite authors. Now, I'm on the ARC team for Kenya, and this is her first attempt at a sci-fi dark romance. Now, she does dark romance really well. She's trying something new, and I'm gonna try it with her because I love a good alien romance. And then, now he's not a dragon shifter, he's like a humanoid dragon, and baby set me on fire. Like, I am having such a great time. Now, I want to preface this by saying, if you are a reader who gets upset when the author has grammatical errors or typos and spelling issues, I understand. Kenya Bell may not be the author for you. Now, as an ARC reader, one of my things that I want to be able to do is give feedback or notes. I know when it comes to me, it is not edited. However, my hope is that by the time you all get the book, it is edited. Now, I have heard from other people that her final copies still have a lot of typos and grammatical errors. So, again, be mindful. If you all are going in expecting perfection, especially from a lot of indie authors, know that editing costs money. Now, her stories, I have no notes for. I've got notes for grammatical issues, but when it comes to the chemistry of her characters, the spice in her books, the way in which she crafts the space around you, I have no notes, baby. You got it, and go for it and run, and I'm gonna read it every time. So I am here to talk about this book because I was reading a lot of like really cutesy romantic books, right? It's February, we're all doing it. However, I was like, I need something different, and my girl delivered. She said, hey, don't worry, Babeinlibrary, I got you. Here, read this sci-fi. And baby, I'm set. This is the story of Ever. Now, Ever is our human female main character. She is at home one day with her best friend and her sister. And her best friend's name is Fleur. Her sister's name is Zia. And these three ladies have had a week from hell. Like, they are at work and they're drained and exhausted. And I want to say, same sis. Like, I understand. Like, y'all are having a girls' night where y'all having like spiked hot chocolate. Y'all are watching movies. Y'all are kikiing, having a good time. And if I could manifest for myself anything of that nature right this very moment, I totally would. But the girls are having a time, and they're like, okay, well, what movie do we want to watch? And so Ever says, let's watch Star Trek. Now, the irony of her watching an alien movie and then aliens come into her home. She wakes up the next morning and is like, nah, I gotta be tripping. Like, I know I'm drunk. I drank way too many Jim Beams. Like, I'm still drunk from last night. And I would understand that, because as a dark alcohol drinker, like, I woke up one morning and I was like, ooh, the room is spinning. I ain't got my glasses on. I can't see straight. I am seeing things. But baby, she was not seeing anything. The aliens had arrived. Now, these aliens, I don't know what planet they're from. I don't think that gets introduced just yet. But these aliens are coming to Earth because they are struggling to repopulate their planet. They have been in a war with another planet, and that has left a disease for all of their female alien species. And so their women cannot procreate. They cannot produce children. And so their planet is dying. And so the prince, his name is Hachaka, I want to say, he goes to his mother and petitions his mother, like, hey, will you let me and the guys roll down to Earth and pick up some women? They've got millions of them. I promise you they won't miss them. And his mama, who is the queen, is like, actually, no, I don't want you to do that. Like, your stupid butt just got back into town and your daddy died because of your foolishness. And you want to tell me that you want to leave to go get this less than race to bring them back to my planet? Nah, I don't sanction this. But she said, you know what, never mind, go ahead and do what you gonna do, because you're gonna do it anyway. And so he goes and with his homeboys, and he's like, okay, well, let's hop down. Now, of all places, they decide to go to Colorado. I don't know what tracking system that they had that was like, this is where the women is at. But they went to Colorado and they show up at Ever's house. Now, Ever again wakes up and is like, no, baby, I'm not going. Like, I don't care what you came down here for or what you thought this was, but I'm gonna fight you. And so she gets up and she decides, hey, I'm gonna go. I actually got a panic room in my closet. It's reinforced steel. You not getting in here. Now, unfortunately, her sister and her best friend ain't hip to the game. Her best friend faints. She's like, boom. Like, that's it. Like, her best friend is out for the count. So Haka has two friends with him, and one of his friends, or two brothers, I'm not sure exactly how they're kin, but one was like, oh yeah, this mine, I'm gonna take her up out of here, let me go ahead and put her in a spaceship cargo, and I'm gonna sit here and wait on y'all. Now Zia, she's like, I'm gonna fight, but I'm not gonna make it that far. Like, I know me, I'm gonna put up a good little fight, but when he really put the paws on me, I'm gonna just head out, because what's the point? However, Everett's like, yeah, no, I'm going. Like, she ran, and
what did her man do? He chased her. Now, I not say her man because at this point, he already knew she was ovulating, and he knew, oh, this is mine. Like, this is my mate. Like, I'm gonna chase her down. Now, be warned, this is a breeding trope. Like, again, the entire purpose of this alien romance is for them to procreate with the women. And so if that's not your thing, I understand. This may not be the thing for you. Go ahead and move around. But if you're gonna move around in alien romance, generally that is the case. Usually the women get stuck on the planet and they're like, okay, well, it's not that bad, I'm gonna make it home and I'm gonna have some alien babies. Or the alien men be like, oh yeah, we need women, we going to Earth. So again, be mindful. If you want to try alien romance, no, this is what happens in alien romance.
I'm going to give you my final thoughts on my Alien Dragon Baby Daddy. I gave it probably a 3.25. It was really mid. I think I was hoping for more from their pairing. I was hoping that after we learned about all of the things that he did, like, our female main character was going to stand on business. As soon as we started the book, I was like, okay, this woman don't play. Like, she's got her safe room. She's ready to put bullets in the man. Like, she is going to make him bow down and bend to her will. And for whatever reason, I understand that this was a breeding trope. I knew that a pregnancy was going to come. And I understand being a mother, right? Like, not personally, I don't have any kids. But I understand the nature of, I need to do what I needed to do for my kids, right? My feelings set aside, I am going to make sure I be with them. And ultimately, because they are half dragon, they have to, and they're half dragon, half alien in this situation. They need their father, and there's things that I can't teach them. But baby, this is, if that's going to be your mate, you still need to lay down the law. Like, yeah, I am here, but what you're going to do is respect me. You're not going to do, be all alpha and think that I'm going to roll over on my stomach. It's not going to happen. And that's just not what we got in this book. I'm hoping that her sister has that redeeming quality and is going to be the swift kick in these aliens' butts that they need to get them on how we roll. But maybe that's not the case. I am used to that in some of my alien romances where, yeah, you're alpha, you're big, you're this, you're that, but I wear the pants. And I tell you how this is going. And you love me so much that you will follow where I lead. And again, maybe that's not for everybody, but that's what I want. The next, I believe it's 5 books were all read and reviewed in my Valentine's Day novella vlog. So I'm not going to go into too much depth. I will tell you, in that vlog, you will hear me talk about Brienne Dene's Talk to Me Nicely, 5-star book. Loved it. Very much an erotica, so don't go in with a romance themes, but know that if you're going to pick it up, I honestly would tell you to pick it up in audiobook, and you can find it on Brienne's website. Y'all, it is orgasmic. Fantastic job by Ashanti as Hale and Von Zale. I don't want to give you too much. Just know that it is a sex worker who is a cam girl and a sex phone operator, but she also has a day job being a podcaster and putting Black businesses on. And it just so happens that our male main character is has a Black-owned business that also deals in the sex industry because he owns a company that sells condoms. And y'all, take my word, it's worth it. Whatever the price is, pay it. Listen to it and keep reading Brienne Dene. That's all I gotta say. Don't Ever Wonder by Takia Lattimore, also very, very good. I read this one for that vlog as well. 5-star. Do know that it is heavy. Now, this is one that has some pretty heavy content warnings. Trafficking, drugging, incarceration, Alzheimer's, just to name a few. But if you read it, you really get to see that they, as a couple, make sense, and it does not matter nothing will break them, time, space, they're going to be together. Similarly, Ezekiel Heart by Genesis Woods was fantastic to me. This one is a best friend's brother. It is coming home and being in love with you. I've always loved for you, and if a person put their hands on you, I'm gonna do whatever to settle the issue. That is a good romance. Sticky Situation by Chaslyn Hamilton was also read in this log, and woof, y'all, this truly, the title was perfectly named. It is a sticky situation. This is a romance actually between a married couple. And they have been trying for a baby. So do know that this has content warnings as well for infertility and pregnancy. But the story is captivating. You all will read this and devour it if you're anything like me. This is a story where they've been trying for the baby. They finally go to therapy, or they're talking and they're saying, hey, actually, let's take the pressure off of each other and let's just have fun. Let's get back to our marriage where we enjoyed each other, enjoyed our time and our couplings, and let's spice it up. And baby, they spice it up, and it was too hot to handle, and there was something that, came about from this, that it left them with decisions to be made and sometimes blame to be shared. So Sticky Situation is definitely one I would recommend. And then lastly, in that vlog, you will see Singled Out by El Renee. Now, this is probably my least favorite in the series, and this is where I really just decided to end it. This was a friends to lover romance. It was set in vacation, and it had a celebrity, right? I believe he was a football player. All things that sound like my vibe. Perfect mixture for me. I will say the 50% of the way through, it was stellar. Like, I read the first 50% and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a 5-star. And then when we got to the 50% mark, things took a turn. And I felt like she was just, the pacing started to be off. Like, she had to be like, oh, I forgot this was going to be a novella. Let me throw in some big, huge plot points, like people who went to prison or going to jail, like drama with exes, and then let's wrap it up and we're done. And I was like, no, that's not how we do that. Like, either you're going to put it in and you're going to extend the book, or we're not going to put it in at all. Like, we were doing fine, love. Like, we were having a great time, and then you switched up on us. But again, maybe it's just me. Maybe others didn't feel that way, but I felt like it was a little bit jarring and the pacing was off. Then I was like, okay, I've been in romance for like ever. I need to come up and breathe. Let me find something else. And the something else I had read was The Secret World of Maggie Gray by Granger. Come close. Y'all, this is vibes. All vibes. Now, I was in a group, a book club for this, and I'm gonna tell you, I had to stand in there 10 toes down, whole chest beating to be like, actually, I hear everything y'all saying, and I know y'all did not like the book, but me, I ate it like it was a 5-star meal, delectable. I paid for the experience and the ambiance. I paid to be amongst greatness, and that's how I felt. Granger, also, let me tell you, I listened to the audiobook and I read it. So that's how I was speeding through. Like, I could not be stopped. I was moving through this book just as fast as the girls were moving through and jumping through the doors. And if you know, you know. This is, I'm going to say, a dark academia, paranormal, HBCU, where it is like perfection. It's set in Atlanta, and baby, the vibes are there. Like, if you wanted to know what being Atlanta was going to be like and what it was like to be a fae, right? You have a nymph, you have a siren, there's werewolves in here, there is like a vampire, and a witch. There are some additional tropes in here. There is enemies to lovers. There is student teacher. There is forced proximity. It is arranged, I'm not going to say marriage, but arranged mating. Like, this book was so good. There's two more left, and I own the second one, and I've got to get my hands on the third one. I don't really know where to start. So this has 4 characters: Maggie, Susie, Asha, and Isis. Now, Asha and Isis are my favorite 2 characters. Maggie is that girl, and Susie is the baddest. Like, if I had to give them names, Susie, again, that baddest. Asha, bad bitch coming through. Maggie, Supreme Queen. Like, the woman is going to take over the world, whether they like it or not, whether they've seen it coming. She is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then Isis is mystery. Like, she is literally the vixen that we're trying to figure out, like, hey, what's your story? What's going on? Please be mindful, as I've been telling you, this one definitely has some trigger warnings. I said it was a dark academia. This one has so much lore. We're talking about, you know, the original of how monsters were created, right? How the first creatures of vampires and wolves, and what is their interaction with one another. We talk about how families are pitted against one another, and how, you know, DNA features, and who gets to be the upper echelon, and where are rankings. We talk about tapping into your magic and knowing your history. Like, it is so good, and I don't want to dive into it too much. Let me tell you, I think I took like 4 or 5 pages of notes, and that's only book 1. So can't wait to read book 2. My next read for the month was Holding by Alexandria House. I'm not going to get into this one too much because I do have a video that's coming up, but this one is a second chance romance, marriage in trouble, read between the lines. This is a hockey romance. This one has bipolar representation. This one has really good flashback scenes, so it is building the story of these two characters because they've known each other since they were children. They have kind of been in love with each other this entire time. Nothing was able to break them until something really did. It talks about, like, really honoring your vows and what that looks like, and how do you walk away from the person who has your heart, being that it's either the best thing for you or the best thing for them? And how do you move forward? What is it like when you see them moving forward? This book right here, like I said, it's coming up in a video very, very soon, so I'm not going to give you my rating nor too much about it, but y'all know I love Alexandria House, and she did not disappoint. Because this video is long, I know there's only 2 more books that I need to talk about. Sunshine with You by Lina James. This one is an arc read for me, and I did not see this one slapping the way it did. Like, this book has some of the most beautiful writing. This one is mutual pining, best friends to lovers. It is a love triangle, and y'all know that's probably my least favorite trope. It has hurt comfort, though, which is one of my favorite tropes. So Lina was balancing. This is a story where our female main character is really a people pleaser, and she is struggling in life. So she is really trying to figure out, hey, what do I want to do for myself? This character suffers from anxiety. So this is Ashley and Hunter's story. Ashley suffers from extreme anxiety. She is ready to move forward and wants to experience love. She is asking her best friend Hunter to tell her, hey, like, I think I'm ready to start dating. And actually, your sister and her husband Chase, which is your best friend, have the perfect guy for me, and I think that I want to give him a try. And Hunter is like, what do you mean? Like, that sparks feelings in Hunter that he has never felt. Like, Hunter has some trauma from his family, like his mother. He doesn't have a really good relationship with her, and it all really centers in his mother, you know, abandoning him and cheating on her husband. So he has shut himself off from love, and he is like, but my best friend Ashley, I've never seen her this way, and her saying that she's ready to date really gets to my soul. Like, actually, I want her to love me, but I want her to find that out for herself. Like, so I'm going to stand here and support her until it gets too much. And he was like, hey, I need to throw my hat in the ring. Like, this is actually a contender. All of Ashley's exes were trash. And trust me, you get to see them on page. You get to realize all of the trash that she sifted through. So she truly deserves Prince Charming. It's just now she has to figure out, do I find and stay with the person who ultimately is going to be a really good guy that has shown that he is interested in me and there is no baggage or trauma with him? Do I go that route? Or do I truly lean towards what my heart is telling me? Like, the person that knows me better than I know myself. That he may be the highest risk, but he is also the highest reward. What do I do? Lina James, I want you to know, when I picked this book up, I did not know it was going to be what it was. But when I tell you, if somebody tells me they don't like Friends to Lover, I'm going to say, you haven't read Sunshine with You. Like, this is the supreme gold standard, and I thank you for art copy. Now, the last book that I have, I did get an art copy for this as well. I did attend an event, so I want you all to listen to how the author describes this event. I want you to listen to some of the things that she says. However, this is the one book that I did DNF, and that's going to be Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. Ultimately, why I wound up DNFing this book, it's because that it was so slow. And I don't think I realized that because I'm coming off of the high of Black Cake, right? I enjoyed Black Cake. I had no preconceived notions about what that book would lead to and how it would flesh out. So, like, I enjoyed that experience. However, reading Good Dirt, I struggled because it was slow building. Like, the context of everything that was going on, the flashes back and forth to the jar, right? So there's this jar named Old Mo, is a part of the family until there is this major traumatic event. And you almost don't get to know what that traumatic event was. Charmaine is trying to build up to that. But we do know that Old Mo was a family heirloom that had been around since the 1800s. It was priceless in terms of a work of art, but also has like historical meaning because it was utilized and traveled through various different parts of the world and country to be able to be in this family's hands. This family not only is a representation of generational trauma that has happened, but it's also generational wealth. And they are in a situation where they've moved to this predominantly white, actually all white, they're the only Black family in this area. And now that trauma has befell them, it's really showing them the true colors of everyone that is around. And our female main character, Abby, can't take it anymore. And she's also going through things because her fiance left her at the altar. And so, like, we're getting, to the meat and potatoes. But then it takes a turn a little bit where Abby starts to befriend her ex-fiance's friend. And I'm like, no, we can stop this here because this is not what I signed up for. Like, none of this is working for me. And ultimately, I just did not care enough, and I did not feel that it was going to go into the route, or I couldn't see where it was going, honestly. It wasn't going down the pathway that I wanted to go, and what Charmaine was writing, I could not see where we would ultimately lead up. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen with Abby. I didn't know, how much we were going to dive into what exactly happened with her brother, who was a part of the traumatic event. Like, and I had an idea, but I also didn't care enough to go find out whether that was true or not. So, needless to say, I did enjoy listening to the author talk about this and talk about her experience writing and why she writes in the way in which she does. So we are going to end this video off with that clip. Thank you all so very much for joining. If you all want to do me a favor, leave me a cap and gown. Actually, leave me a cap and gown emoji for Somebody's Forever because they work at a university, and honestly, it's an HBCU, so we want our HBCUs to thrive, especially in times like this where they are being shut down left and right. So do me a favor, leave me a graduation gown for Somebody's Forever and these professors. I support HBCUs, and you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you all later.
In fiction, we take the time to listen, to observe, to be a bit more empathic, to have empathy for other people, and also to dare to ask tough questions for which we may not find the answers. So for me, I don't know if this is true for you, Chantel, writing, even when I've done a lot of research, as I have for Good Dirt, so often is about asking questions. Yes. It's not always about the answers. Mm-hmm. That it centers around a long-time African-American family from New England. Mm-hmm. But there's an important connection to the past, and the past takes the reader back to South Carolina in the 1800s. And the connection is going to be what you see on the book. I don't know if you can tell that there's an object, there's a vessel. So this is a story, like Black Cake, that goes back and forth between the past and the present. And it is a story that explores the power of storytelling to shape our identities. I've always been fascinated by that idea. I believe that identity is all about a story. What is the story that people tell you about who you are? What is the story that you tell yourself about who you are?